Bruh.
Hi, Zizaran here with another video for Expedition League, and I wanted to make a quick first impressions of the league and a review and stuff like that. Talking a little bit about maybe the shock for a lot of people of all the new changes. Normally, I would probably wait a little bit more because obviously a lot of the changes might feel better when we get more used to them over the time in the league, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience and how I feel about the new league. First, let's start with something positive. The league had really good servers. A lot of people have been joking, LOL, that's because nobody's playing. And if we look at the stats and open Steam, then this league had the same as, I believe that is Heist. Whatever league started September 2020, which I'm pretty sure is Heist. So the same peak as Heist. So obviously still a large amount of players, and loads of people don't use Steam. So there's a huge chunk, maybe as much as 50-60% using standalone as well. But obviously quite a lower launch. Been very few bugs. I've seen some people are complaining about T-posing, like something about that. I haven't had the bug myself, so honestly, for me, great launch. Probably the smoothest launch ever, and I feel like that obviously the last one was a fucking disaster, and there's been some bad ones before that. But that was really good and enjoyable. Texture streaming hasn't been an issue. This is a great time to introduce somebody that hasn't played the previous patches and know how so strong we're supposed to be. Because they might probably have a pretty okay time in PoE because there's very little bugs and stuff. So that's great. Now let's talk about a lot of the bad things. Flasks feel incredibly bad during the campaign, especially when you only have one Quicksilver. I feel like I had it up 30-40% of the zone, and I don't know. Maybe this is something we'll get used to. Maybe it's just the shock of the changes. It feels really bad. The thing that feels the worst is, and again, I say this a lot, I never feel like when grinding your games do a large amount of nerfs or changes, it always feels a little disconnected and like they haven't fully considered how much one thing affects another. By that, I mean the fact that, like, obviously we have way less fast charges now. It feels a lot like running a reduced fast charges map. And I don't like the old mechanic. I don't like the old mechanic of just pianoing fast. Kind of feel like that is still there. I feel like you're still mostly pianoing fast, but now you just have a lot more downtime and feeling punished. Obviously, we are going to have to like improve, get better at management. And maybe I'm being a bitch here, but it feels really bad. It really does. And particularly what makes it feel so bad is the fact that flasks are changed, and the fact that we at the same time got like the you know, the if you are like you aren't freeze immune from your flask anymore, you aren't bleed immune from your flask anymore. So the combination of both of those at the same time feel incredibly bad. I think one of them would probably have been quite reasonable, and like I think some people have said they'd rather want everything like ripped off like a band-aid. I am much more favor of gradual change on things like this. For example, when they nerfed Breach, that happened very slowly over time. A lot of people didn't notice as much that Breach was getting slowly phased out from people being people's favorite mechanic to, you know, not that great. So I'm personally more in favor of that. This was very brutal, and having both those two at the same time is incredibly hard. Now, obviously, I do want to say this is extremely hard, especially for me, because we are doing the no logout challenge with like Quinn, Mathil, and Steelmate, etc. So if I get frozen or something and I've fucked up my potions, which are already hard to manage to begin with now, I'm literally dead. I die. I have to stand there and watch my character die, which happened last night when I was bleeding and poisoned, and I had very much time to log out, but I was trying to walk away from the fight. So very big playstyle change. I'm currently not enjoying the challenge, not having fun with it at all. And that is because I quite like the logout macro. I think it's a really fun way to play. I don't really care for people that don't like it. That's their choice. I love it. I think it's a great way to play. But I at least think those two fast changes really feel bad. It feels like you basically on hardcore have to overload an extreme amount and play incredibly slow. And I can see probably a lot of people are saying, well, then don't be a little bitch, just go softcore, right? And I don't know, I still want to play hardcore. I personally think if hardcore was no longer fun for me, I would more likely quit the game and start playing other games like Last Epoch, Lost Ark, etc. instead, than go softcore, because I really, at least for me, I like need that rush of hardcore. Same reason I like games like Tarkov and Darkfall Online. On top of that, we have the movement changes. And I honestly, this I really don't like. I feel like fluid and smooth movement in Path of Exile was always one of the really, really good things about the game. I feel like regardless of like relative power, Smoke Mine, Flame Dash felt really, really good. And Dash with enchants and some investment, Second Wind as well. I think they were already in a good spot. So the feeling that I'm left with as a player is this. Hey, Whirling Blades, etc., they're really bad. They're in a, like, they feel bad. Let's make all of the abilities feel bad so some aren't more powerful than others. It just feels incredibly bad. I really don't like the new movement of Path of Exile. I know a lot of speedrunners like Tai Killer, I'm Exile, no longer, they said they might not enjoy speedrunning the game anymore. I think that's very bad. I think a slowdown was necessary, but I think with all the damage nerfs and all the other stuff happening, that already is a slowdown. So again, it's more the fact that they're doing so many brutal changes at the same time is very crazy. I am, again, much more of a favor of gradual changes. I would love to see like Flame Dash and all of those go back, Smoke Mine go back. I don't think there was that much of a nerf. I would much rather see Whirling Blades, Blink Arrow, etc. get some either other bonuses or some other buffs to bring them up to the other level, because they already felt good. I would rather all of them be at a level where they feel great. Like Whirling Blades, for example, has that weird clunky like aftertaste where like after you finish a Whirling Blade, you have like a weird skill delay, and it just feels incredibly bad. It literally feels unintended. I know it isn't, but it feels like I'm lagging. As far as the damage nerfs, I think this is great. It definitely feels like more of a challenge, and I really do like the damage nerfs quite a lot. I think we were at a point in Path of Exile where it was very, very incredibly easy to get an insane amount of damage, and I would have liked to see monsters be tuned down a little bit too. I think slowing down the game in that way is quite healthy. Like the monsters taking longer to kill us taking longer to kill the monsters. I've never been a fan of one-shotting bosses, and I think it's good that we're going to go back a little bit to actually fighting things. So that's been quite enjoyable. Very good changes in my opinion, and I've seen a lot of people echoing that as well. With that being said, Act 1, for me personally, my enjoyment of the game, pretty cool. It's pretty exciting. It's very similar to, I've seen a lot of people coming maybe from softcore, etc., to the Gauntlet and being like, wow, this is so different from how I normally play and interact with the game. It's really fun, and it really makes things more exciting again. That's cool. I like that. However, I already felt like Act 1 was too difficult for new players before, and now it is way, way harder. I saw a lot of people complaining that were new players that were getting their shit kicked in. Some people that like literally had 50, 60, 100 deaths in Act 1. Personally, I really want the game to be very easy during the tutorial, the campaign, and then start scaling up in maps and get harder and harder and harder, where you could have like start like a very high impact change at tier 10 maps, with tier 16s being incredibly hard and tier 19s being something like only the hardest and strongest players can do. So again, early part of the game should be easy in my opinion. That being said, absolutely terrifying to have Brutus appear right before where you think he's gonna appear. Wasn't ready for that at all and got absolute shock. Merveil seemed the same as before, but yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see the new Path of Exile. Timers, like somebody made a post on Reddit saying like timers like Delirium, Alva, etc. should be slowed down a tad. Definitely agree. Expedition Splinter should be auto pickup. Definitely agree. And somebody made a great point with the League mechanic. The monsters are immune to X. Literally the worst thing ever from Diablo 2. That probably my most hated element of Diablo 2. It either does nothing and has no effect at all, and you don't even notice it there, or you literally cannot do the content at all. It just is immortal now. There's no in between. There are so few builds in Path of Exile that have like, you know, multi abilities, like, oh, I'm gonna bring some fire damage for the fire immune monsters, but I'm normally a chaos damage build. Like it literally, like, it's not going to happen. This is not the way you would do that anyway. Like when something's immune to chaos, what else would a chaos damage build be scaling to be able to kill that? Nothing. So it's completely pointless, and obviously, especially seeing as let's say for instance that was the point, right? That you were supposed to bring two different damage types. Well, if you're a chaos damage build at tier 16s, and something's immune to chaos damage, you aren't able to get enough damage on, let's say, like fire or cold or lightning that it would actually kill tier 16 monsters that are immune. So you would just die. It's a very terribly out of place thing in the game. I think it's absolutely atrocious. I cannot believe that this went in the game. I just incredulous. I just don't understand. And this must have gone through several people. And I'm hoping there were some developers screaming like, this is a mistake. This is a terrible idea. Immunities has no place in Path of Exile. And it really doesn't. Not in this case. Not in this way. And I don't understand why it's in. It just feels incredibly out of place. This is probably what I'm the most upset about more than anything. It's just such a weird thing. It makes no sense. Other than that, having an okay amount of fun. I'm not really enjoying this logout challenge. I'm obviously going to keep doing it until Mathil decides not to. But yeah, definitely like logging out on hardcore. Either way, hope you guys are enjoying the video. And again, thanks for the huge support on Twitch and spreading my stream around. But hope you guys are all enjoying it. And sub if you like the video. But more importantly, try to die less than I do.